Hey guys, it's Justine. Today we're going to talk about cortisol, caffeine, and belly fat. And this will come out later in an article, but right now I just want to make this quick video for you. I just counted on my calendar, it's been 29 days since I last had caffeine. And the reason I decided to do an experiment with myself and to not have it is because I remember a few years ago I went a whole year and a half without caffeine, and I remember specifically that I had more energy than I do when I normally have it. My cat is over here playing on the table. So I wanted that feeling again, where I just felt energetic every day. I woke up with energy, and I didn't depend on something to make me feel good for a couple hours, and I would crash and then need some more. So I've been traveling. I went to Vegas. I didn't have caffeine. I visited some friends, so I've been doing a lot of social things without it. So what I've noticed is, first of all, it takes 21 days to make a habit, and I'm past the 21-day mark, so I really don't crave it anymore. It used to be a habit just to have something hot or something stimulating, or like those 5-hour energies. I would do those and the organic versions, and I was a hot mess for a second. But I feel great. Like today I was driving home from visiting my best friend in Houston, and I was a little tired. I'm like, well, I could have caffeine, but I'll just have a headache and I'll feel like crap. So I decided not to and just continued on driving and, feel fine. But cortisol, let's talk about cortisol. We all see commercials about cortisol and belly fat, and what is the connection there? What is cortisol? Cortisol is basically a hormone that helps with certain body functions, but is called a stress hormone. And when you're physically feeling stress, like, oh, I'm stressed out about work or whatever, or if the body's under stress, sometimes fighting a disease even, it releases extra cortisol, and cortisol comes from your adrenal glands, which are located near your kidneys. So over time, the adrenal glands can become fatigued, and there's constantly too much cortisol going on in your body. Now, when cortisol is in your body, it creates a flight or fight response, okay? Basically, when stress happens, our body thinks that there's something coming after us and we need to protect ourselves. So all of your blood literally rushes away from your stomach out to your appendages, your arms and your legs and your brain. So you feel really alert for a second, and you can react to the stimulus that is stressing you out. And then what needs to happen is the body needs to come. Okay, why are my cats all over? Okay. The body needs to come back down to relaxation mode so that the blood can begin circulating again. And when the blood's away from your stomach, your digestion slows down as well. Because if you're running from some predator, you don't need to be digesting food at that moment, right? You just need to be running. So what happens in our culture, since we're typically overly stressed, is that we never really come down and go back to that relaxation mode. So we're constantly in this state of stress, our body is, which creates that belly fat because things aren't circulating the way that they should. Now, caffeine does stress the adrenals, which creates extra cortisol in the body. And just same thing with again, stress from jobs or work or kids or parents or whatever it is, that creates the same response in the body as actually taking a stimulant. So since I've quit my caffeine for the last 29 days, I have lost an inch off of my belly area. So that's nice. And I really do feel very energetic. So I'm not dogging caffeine or anything. Everyone loves their little thing. If you're hooked on caffeine right now and you want to stay that way, that's okay. But you might want to, again, my whole thing is figuring out what works for you and what works for your body. We're all created differently. One person's food is another person's poison, which I learned in nutrition school. So what works for me will not work for every single person, but it's nice to experiment with yourself to learn to understand what your body is telling you at any given moment. Because when you can really listen to your body, that's when you can really start to change your life, and it makes sense to you. So it becomes a habit, a sustainable habit. So if you do decide to cut down on caffeine for a little bit or stop it completely, you could do like a half calf, half decaf, or just go decaf, just to try it. You will have a headache. The first 2 days you're going to feel sort of miserable. You're going to have a headache. You'll be a little bit tired, a little bit out of it, depending on how how dependent you are on caffeine, your headache will be worse. Now, this is just your body detoxing. The second day is always the worst. But on the third day, you start to feel really good, okay? Everything's getting out of your system, and you're going to start to feel amazing. And then the fourth day, you just feel on top of the world. So those first 2 days, those are the days you want to rest a little bit more, drink a little extra water, because it's just all of your cells are just flushing out things that they need to. And when you do not stress your body through stimulants, then the adrenals can start to rest again, and the adrenals have a direct correlation with our thyroid function, which controls our metabolism. Okay, so we want to keep that functioning properly so that we don't have extra fat on our body as well. So that's a little bit about caffeine and cortisol and belly fats. And just one more little example about cortisol. Sometimes you may not feel stressed, like I'm so stressed out right now, but the body is under stress and it's fighting something. Last summer I got bit by a tick, just some freak thing that I never even saw the tick or had that round bite or whatever. I just didn't feel very good. I had a headache, like the neck thing, my neck was stiff, and every time I ate something, my everything hurt. I could eat a carrot and my stomach hurt every single time, and that was weird. And someone recommended I go and see a doctor, and I tested positive for Lyme's. And what was interesting, luckily I caught it in just a couple weeks, so it's completely out of my body, and I had to be on 30 days of antibiotics and probiotics, and just very interesting. That'll be a whole other video. But during that time, although I exercised and I ate properly, I did everything that I normally do, I still put on 10 pounds because my body was stressed fighting this disease. It's just what happens. And I asked my doctor if that was normal. He said, well, yes. And actually, he had patients gain up to 100 pounds in just a few months because of how much stress their body was under fighting this disease. And the good thing with Lyme's is as soon as you catch it, the chances are you can just completely get rid of it. So that's just a little side story for you. But there's my spiel about caffeine, cortisol, and belly fat, and this will be out in an article shortly for you to enjoy. All right, talk to you later.